Hey guys, welcome back to my podcast. This is the first one that we've ever done live recorded and then uploaded to Spotify and all the various platforms. So really excited about that. Today I have Su Guillory. If you have followed me for a while, you've seen that I've had Sue on the podcast before. We talked about marketing. Today we're talking about I can do hard things, which is a mantra that I've definitely adopted over the last few years. For those of you that don't know Sue, she is an intuitive business coach and magic maker. Love that. I feel like I'm a magic maker too. Sue and I have known each other for the last few years, and she's at this really interesting point in life where her whole life is about to change. She's moving to Italy. I'll let her talk a little bit about that. She's got a kiddo who's going off to college, and certainly had the last few years full of hard, interesting circumstances, which we all have. I mean, who hasn't? Hello, COVID. So today we're going to talk all about doing hard things, how we can do them. Sue, welcome to the show.
Yay, thank you. And I'm honored to be your first video podcast guest. So thank you for that.
Yeah, tell everybody a little bit about you. Where do you live? Why is this topic important to you? What are we going to discuss today?
All the things. So I live in sunny San Diego for now. I am moving to Italy in September. So right now that is about 4 months away. It's happening quickly. Why did I want to talk about this? I was on Instagram and I kept seeing, this meme, I can do hard things, and so many women talking about COVID kind of shifted for them a lot of business, a lot of personal stuff, right? So people who were caught in corporate America are doing something that didn't fulfill them. Now they're Reiki healers and massage therapists and coaches and all this stuff. And I fall in that category, as do you, Jen.
Yeah.
And that was one aspect of it. People are shedding relationships that don't serve them to find happiness. That's also you, Jen. So there are so many things that we're doing, and I think we don't often give ourselves credit for the hard things that we do. And at the same time, we also look at things as being harder than they are. And so that's kind of what I've been thinking about. Is like Jen is always in my head saying, what if it could be easy? And that's something that I think really helps with this, to say, moving to Italy is no joke, y'all. I mean, like, I have an Italian attorney. I'm going to the consulate. I'm going to go there and find a house. Like, there's a lot of stuff, but breaking it down, like, it's not all that hard. And so I think that A, we need to give ourselves credit for what we're doing, and B, not be afraid of doing anything, because we can do anything. And whether it's hard or not, it's possible.
This is such a great lead in. And I was sitting here thinking about this morning, I had a breakfast date with 3 other women. We met at this women's conference a few years ago before COVID. And every single month we meet for breakfast, no matter what. And each one of us owns our own business. And each one of us has gone through incredible amounts of struggle over the last few years, and struggle just birthing businesses, duplicating, expanding, getting people to show up to work has been a real challenge. And this morning we were talking about relationships, and the ladies didn't know that my boyfriend moved in this month. If you followed me at all again lately, you've known that in just the last few months I was married. We opened up our marriage. We decided to consciously separate. I've gone through a divorce. In all that time, I've been dating the same guy for about 5 months. We decided to move him in. He now lives with me. There's a lot going on in the last few months. And I was kind of getting them up to speed because they didn't know about him moving in. And they were just like, well, how do the kids feel about it? I'm like, oh, great. They love him. Oh, how does your ex-husband feel about this? Oh, it's great. He's taken them to a baseball game on Saturday. What? Yeah, they reached out to him and told him they wanted to spend time with him. And so he's taking them to a baseball game on Saturday. Well, how does your first ex-husband, the kid's dad, how does he feel? Oh, he's great. Like, he's given his blessing for Scott to move in. On moving day, he bought all of us lunch. Like, it's incredible. And they look at me and they're like, you're just so lucky, Jen. Nope, not lucky. Intentional. Super fucking intentional to create this life, intentional to bring these men in, that support me and my kids, intentional to have a nice, really high level, beautiful relationship with each one of them, intentional to be kind to my exes, right? To allow them to still spend time with the kids, to allow the kids to still spend time with them. This is all not just luck. It's
right.
super
And it's also,
easy.
it's your attitude, because I think a lot of people would look at those situations and say, oh, that's not going to go well. And what you think puts that out there. So if you go, oh my gosh, well, the kid's dad is going to hate him, he's going to be protective of them, then that'll happen. I'm going to have I'm going to struggle with my ex-husband. Okay, then that's going to happen. But you are so clear on intention and just say, all this is going to be great. And that's why I think everything has happened so quickly, because you don't put obstacles in your own way. You just go, this is what I want, and it happens. And
Manifest it, bring it in. Well, when you're talking about doing the hard things, it's not like any of this has been easy. Like just having the conversation with my ex-husband now, the second ex-husband, I want to open our relationship. You guys, like Sue knows, I talked to her about this too before I did it. I'm like, it makes me want to throw up in my mouth a little bit. I'm really nervous. What if he says no? What if he wants to divorce me? What like I'm human. I go through all of that too. I just called in my support system and I brought in a therapist and I prepared myself for the conversation and I got help for us as we were going through this hard thing. So I don't want, of course, this podcast to be just about me and my hard thing, but I think it's interesting that just this morning we were having this conversation and they're like, you're just so lucky. I'm not lucky. Trust me. Yeah. It's all intention and it's moving through the hard thing in a way that can feel easy.
Yeah, I like that. And I don't like the word lucky. I prefer fortunate, because luck to me is like you spin a wheel and you just get what you happen to get. But to me, fortunate is more, it's deliberate. Like I am very fortunate in my life in that I have all these things that make me happy. It's not a matter of luck. It's a matter of deliberation, of intention and work.
Absolutely. I also think the word luck has this connotation like God shines down on you. Like you're the lucky one that gets the positive rays of light from the universe on your life. No.
Yeah.
None of us have that. Like you have to show up and you have to work through the hard things. And I think with enough practice, it can get easy. It can feel less like you want to throw up in your mouth every time it happens.
It's
going
definitely
to the gym,
practice,
working the muscle, right?
Yeah, it is. It absolutely is. I think back years ago, I would not have believed that I was moving to Italy. I would not have believed I would be divorced. I remember telling my ex-husband, I could never leave you. Like I couldn't be without you, because I was so afraid of being alone, right? And so then like the worst thing happened and I survived and I thrived and it ended up being the best thing that needed to happen. And then that's practice. So now I'm like, that was my metric. That was the hardest thing I've done, go through divorce. So now moving to Italy or letting my kid go off into the world or starting another business or transitioning out of an old one, those are all easy. I've already done the hard thing, but in perspective, looking at how other people respond, like when I say I'm moving to Italy, they're like, oh my God, you're so brave. And I don't feel brave, Jen. I just feel like I just need to do this. Like this is happening and there is no possibility to me that it's not happening. And so I'm just like, it's like, I don't know, you need to eat your next meal. I'm like, I need to move to Italy. It's happening. Like, this is not a negotiation. But I realize that not everybody has that mindset. And so that's when I think about, when we think about things being hard, we put a barrier and that can keep us from doing it. And that's kind of the message I want, is like, you can do any of it. And just like you with getting a therapist, having the conversation in your head, what you're going to say to him, like you take steps, right? Like I'm not moving to Italy tomorrow. I'm going in a few weeks to find a house and open a bank account. I've been doing stuff with my lawyer. I'll go to the consulate, then they will give me the visa. Then I've got 2 cats to fly out. Like I have a whole nerd list of all the things I need to do to move to Italy. And it's like change address, get all my doctor's appointments done, sell the car, like all these things. And I just need lists to mark things off. But any goal you have, you just have to break it down. And it's way easier when you can say, all right, there's 50 things I need to do, but I don't have to do them all today. I can do one thing.
I love that. What also doing hard things makes me think of, to make them easier, is habit forming. So for me in my life, one of the hardest things was showing up to the gym consistently. And so I found for me, I pay a trainer who shows up 4 days a week with me and works me out, either at my own house or he meets me at the gym and he helps me and he spots me and he pushes me. Without that trainer, you think I'd be showing up 4 days a week to work out? I'd be going to like the ice cream shop to go buy myself some ice cream. Like that's what I'd be doing.
Right.
And so for me, it's like habit stacking consistency. So I'm showing up. So I found a couple things. When I have a partner, it helps, like a workout buddy. When I pay money, it helps because I value the session. And then thirdly, I show up. And so for 3 years, I've worked out 4 to 6 days a week, every single week. And now it's just like breathing. Like this morning, I woke up and I had the breakfast meeting with my friends where they told me I was lucky. And I'm like, I'm not lucky. I'm intentional. And then I came home and I had an hour-long workout session with the trainer at home. And I did burpees and I did all kinds of things I fucking hate. But what I've noticed is after 3 years of this consistency, it gets so much easier. I can lift 50 pounds consecutively over and over and over and over and over and not want to cry. Like I can do it and feel strong now. I can do the burpees and not feel like I'm going to have to be peeled off the ground. I can do the burpees and I can feel like, okay, I know I'm getting stronger. And so I'm sure even with your trip to Italy, I know that's not the only hard thing you've ever done, but there's probably habit stacking where you're consistently showing up to get prepared, consistently wrapping your mind around what the move might look at, like consistently letting go of things to make yourself ready to move over there.
Yeah, that's a really big aspect of the hard things, is that I am untethering myself from everything. So not only is my child moving to Florida in August to go be an adult, I'm leaving all my friends. I speak Italian good enough, but not like totally fluent where I'm going to pick up everything. I'm going into a different culture. I have like one friend there. Like everything is shifting. And I feel like I'm in a really good place in my life where I've done all the spiritual work. I'm good with being alone and I know how to pay attention to my mindset. Like a few months ago, I kind of just had a meltdown. It was like, there are so many things going on in my life. Like, I just can't fucking do this. And I was just like, all right, meditate, go to yoga, like don't work today, whatever you need. And it's just really paying attention to where your mindset is, especially when it's an emotional hurdle versus like I need to save a bunch of money to go do a thing. Like that's, kind of black and white, right? Get this much money, then I'll have enough. But the mental stuff is harder. Getting through a divorce or starting a business, moving to Italy, these are all things that take a huge emotional amount of investment to do. And I wanted to go back to accountability partners. So you've got your trainer and he makes sure you're there and you make sure you're there because he's there. And I think that's such a huge thing that a lot of women, like when you met me, I called myself a lone wolf. Like we met in a priestess training program where she was a few years ahead of me. I'm like, I'm good. I don't need people. Like, I don't need to have a community and talk to them all the time. And by the end of it, I'm like, oh my gosh, like I have all these sisters now and we keep each other compatible. We talk accountable. We talk about our businesses. We talk about relationships. And it's so nice to have someone reach out. And that's part of like the coaching that you and I both do now is, I'll text Jen and be like, hey, is your website up yet? She's like, oh, no, I gotta work on that. But here's where I am. See, by the way. But she knows that I'm going to reach out. And if you can talk about how you feel about it, but I think you hold yourself to that standard because I'm going to check in versus if it was just you're like, I'll push it off.
100%. So as I've been your client in business coaching, so y'all probably don't know yet, but Sue has been coaching me over the last few months to launch a relationship and sex coaching business. And I've got a client or two. And so what's really fun is passing along some of the things that you've taught me to them. So that I love the accountability weekly check-in. And I did mine with one of my clients last night. And he was supposed to have a really, really difficult conversation. I can do hard things with his wife. He's been married 25 years. They have only sexually been with each other for 25 years. And it's time for something else. Not that he wants to leave, but he's thinking about asking about opening up their relationship, or can we bring some spice into the bedroom, or it's gotten really stale in our communication after that 25 years, I can imagine. And so he was challenged last Monday by me in our session to have a tough conversation with her. And so I checked in last night and I said, how's the homework going? I totally put my Sue hat on. I'm like, how's the homework going? Did you do your homework? And he said, you know what? I've been trying to, but she can sense intuitively the hard conversation that's about to happen. So she's gotten sick. Like her body's physically become sick. So she can't have this conversation with me. And he said, but I noticed today she's starting to feel like better, and she's starting to kind of be touchy with me. And I said, great, you have your opening. So tonight I want you to like have sweet love making session with her. And then when she's nice and open and juicy, talk to her and say, hey, babe, we've been together for 25 years. And I'm so grateful for all of our time together. As we enter in our 26th year together, I think we should shake things up a little bit, like make it spicy and exciting. Here's some ideas I have to get us there, babe. I'm going to help lead us there if you're cool with it. So I don't know if he did his homework, but I love the accountability part to that, because I think as we go throughout life, you and I, as I take a step back from this conversation about my client, you and I have operated as lone wolves. We've been business owners. We've been powerful women in marketing and retail space. And so we've felt very masculine. We've had to be to birth these businesses. And what's interesting is now in our midlife, right, we're realizing that we don't necessarily have to, that there is a more feminine way to birth businesses. So maybe you want to talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, I mean, that's a whole other thing. But for those who have been in corporate America or owning their own business, for women, I think we have a very masculine approach, and that doesn't mean we act like men. So the masculine is action, it's drive, it's assertiveness / aggressiveness sometimes, whereas feminine is more like sitting back, reflecting, absorbing. And so for me with COVID, and when I was doing the priestess path, I was like, I want to start a spiritually led business, but I don't know what. And I'm very like, Jen knows, like, I'll put up a website tomorrow when I'm like motivated, but I'm like, I don't need to know. I just need to sit in this for a little while. And it made me freaking crazy, because I'm like, I need to know, I need a business plan. I need to get this launched, but I don't know what it is. So just sitting with that discomfort was a huge lesson. But with COVID, what we didn't know, what was going to happen. So it was really important to just do a lot of meditating and reflecting and not taking action. So I kind of got an idea for the business towards the end of the year, and I made myself wait until January 1st before I made any lists or any plans. So I celebrated the new year and I was like, lists, let me start planning, because I have a lot of that masculine energy. But what I find is when you can balance it, when you can sit and be intuitive and really, ask yourself, what do I want right now? For me right now, I want to coach women into helping them find a business. I want to move to Italy, live by the sea, and like spend more time there than working. I want to let my son go off into the world and be an amazing, successful adult. So that's the feminine, reflecting on what I want. The masculine is, how do I make this happen? So it's making that list of action steps and breaking them down. And the feminine comes back and says, okay, you're getting overwhelmed. Maybe today take a break. Tomorrow you can start again. But using those two sides of yourself in conjunction to really align with what you want and need in your life.
I love that. And as we go back to our topic of I can do hard things, I have found on the business side, when I allow, that was one of the words that you didn't use for
Mhm.
feminine, but it's one of my favorites.
Yes.
When I just allow
Yep.
things
Mhm.
to unfold,
Mhm.
that's when I notice how things can be easy. I can be growing. I can be adding a new line extension item to my offering for my clients. I can be hiring new people and having a team member teach and train them. Like I can hold space for, and I can allow it to unfold in perfect timing. Oh my gosh, I have a story about this. I realized a week or two ago, well, let's say a month, so probably about a month. I realized a month ago that every contract that I sent out was not being signed and sent back. Like I was sending out all these contracts and nobody was signing. And I kept trying to force it. And I caught myself and I thought, maybe the universe is telling me that I have the perfect amount of clients and the perfect amount of team members for exactly where I'm at right this minute, because something's about to unfold that's big and I just need to chill fuck out, you know? Little did I know, a month later, the boyfriend would be moving in. We'd have a huge moving day. We'd be expanding our services. We'd take on 3 new clients. Like I turned the corner from this. I guess I was a little stressed out. Like I really needed to have a few more clients financially to support the team members. We lost a few team members organically. It was perfect. And so when I start to get into that space of freak out as a business owner, when I can remember and catch myself and say, let me just allow this to happen and see how it plays out. It always plays out to my good.
Yeah. Well, if you remember, that was at the beginning of our coaching.
It
So
was.
what it also made room for was your
Yeah.
coaching business. And I told you that day one, I said, I don't know what your business is going to be, but I think you need to take this as a sign that it is opening up for what's next. And it absolutely was on every level.
Yep, it already has.
I love that. I'm going through that too right now. So I create content for businesses, and I'm working to transition out of that to do more of the coaching. So my roster of writing clients has dwindled. Like 2 really big clients have stepped away, one in the last week. And this is again that muscle, right? And we've talked about this. I would have been on the floor crying 5-10 years ago. Like, what am I going to do? I need money. And I told my friends, I'm like, this is what happened. Like, I'm cool. Not 3 hours later, one of my remaining clients was like, hey, I have this big exclusive project. Do you want to work on it? And I told her, I said, I'm laughing right now because this is what happened. And I knew something would step into that. And also because of the coaching, I'm like you, maybe I need this space. Maybe I don't need more of this type of work because I need to allow for what's next. And with so much going on, time would be nice to have more energy to put toward those things. But it made me laugh how financially the universe stepped right in and said, okay, you didn't panic. Good job. My manifesting has like really ramped up in time and in terms of time, like 3 hours is probably the fastest I've manifested something. So that was pretty fun, but it does take practice to be okay with that. And that's your intuition, and that's the feminine, because you're not freaking out and going out and applying for a job, at the fast food restaurant. You're like, all right, what is this telling me? And that's what I always ask. What lesson is there in this? What do I need to pay attention to? And that's gotten easier over time.
Right. Well, that's the making the hard things easy. Because to your point, you strengthen the muscle. You learn that it's going to happen. You learn not to freak out. You learn to breathe into it. And then we can manifest faster and faster and faster and faster and faster, to where everyone around you is looking at you like, what is happening? How are you doing this so quickly? Don't you want to sit and cry? Don't you need to have a few days? And you're like, no, I'm good. Moving through. What's next?
That's it. Yep.
And one other great mantra that I like, outside of what if this could be easy, is this or something better. This or something better. That or something better, right? It's like swiping almost. And when things don't work out, you're just waiting for something better.
Yeah. So I have a practice I'd like to share. So every evening, when I'm laying in bed, I come up with 3 things that I'm grateful for from the day past. And then in the morning, I do the same thing about what I'm grateful for that's coming. So this podcast was on my list today. So after that in the morning, I also say, today I'm going to manifest whatever it is. It could just be a client paying on time or early, or somebody I haven't heard from reaching out that I want to hear from. So I will say this or something better. So mote it be. So it could be beyond what I asked for. It could be that plus something else. So it's just fun. And sometimes I'm sleepy and I'm like, I don't know. But, like the other day I said, somebody I haven't talked to in a while will reach out. So a friend reached out and said, let's do happy hour next week. And I'm like, great, So it can be small, but it also it keeps me grateful for my ability to manifest. And the gratitude itself really shifts my perspective from, whatever I think I'm lacking or complaining about, like, well, I lost a client today. Okay. However, I got a new project and I have more time to work on other things. So that's a part of accomplishing anything, is being able to have the right perspective and being grateful for what you have.
I just want to repeat, because I had to take a second and write this down so I could remember it. But your daily practice, every night, you write down 3 things that you're grateful for. And every morning, you write down 3 things that you're looking forward to that you know is going to happen that day. And then after you do that, you set an intention for the day. Today, I want to manifest a new client. Today, I want to take some time for self-care. Today, I want to remember to pay the lawn guy or whatever it is.
Yeah.
And then you say this for something better. So mote it be, which is cute because it's like a spell. I love that.
Yeah, exactly.
Did I miss anything?
And no, but you don't even have to write it down. Like, I'm not good at making sure I get my journal out and doing it. So I kind of call it my prayer, like I'm falling asleep and I'm reviewing the day. And it's just like, okay, those are the 3. So it's just like immediately I lay down and that's where my brain goes. And so it's been such a beautiful practice. And I don't say I want. So because your words matter with the universe, saying I want, my client to pay me today, it's like you want to keep wanting that. So I will say, like, my client will pay me today, or a new client will reach out, versus I want. So it's just seeing it as already happening. And that just is a little shift in words, but that's helpful for manifesting.
Well, and I like that you've made it a habit. You get to the point where you put your head on the pillow and the first thing you do is think of 3 things that you're grateful for that happened that day. I'm curious, in the same vein of habit stacking, when you do your 3 things that you're looking forward to, are you still in bed, or are you doing something like brushing your teeth or something you'd normally do anyway?
I do it in the morning in bed. It just works for me because I find, and this, as soon as you're like, oh, I need to do that thing, you've already forgotten it and done the other thing. Yeah. So for me, and you could do it when you brush your teeth, like just pick something where you can focus on that thought. Maybe you put it on your mirror, 3 things I'm grateful for right now are, and then you see that. For me, it just happened to be, I think maybe I started it to try to fall asleep. But I don't, because I'm like, oh yeah, that happened. And it's quick. It's, 30 seconds. I'm able to come up with them quickly. And sometimes I keep going. So, and for the full moon, I'll sometimes do like a list of 10 things I'm grateful for, or just keep going. And it's like, I'm grateful for this house, for this cat in my lap, for this cup of tea. Like, it can be super simple. It doesn't have to be, incredibly large, but gratitude is such a part of everything we do as magic makers that I just think I just want more people to know the value of it.
I love that. All right. What else do you want to talk about?
I guess maybe just, making a list of the hard things you've done can be another way of doing gratitude. So I have a note in my phone and I started writing down, all the hard things, like the divorce, being a single mom, running a business, starting 2 other businesses, getting through COVID, moving to Italy. It just, or look at what people respond as, wow, that's really brave, or that's really hard. You may not see it as such, but I think there's some value. Like, even this morning when you hearing the, you might be lucky thing, there's value in you seeing how other people react to the things you do, even if you don't think they're hard. You're like, oh, maybe not everybody has the nerve to do this, or, would not be as brave as going to, I'm like, anyone can move to Italy, but people put up those blocks. So I give myself a pat in the back and say, this is brave. This is a hard thing to some people. So I'm going to honor myself for being able to do it with grace.
Awesome. I love that. So if people are listening and they're like, I need more Sue in my life, where can they find you?
Oh, hey, I want that to be my slogan. I need more Sue in my life. T-shirt. So
Hashtag
they
need
can
more
visit.
Sue.
Yes. Oh, I love that. We're going to use that. My website is suguillory.com. That's SUGUILLORY.com. And I'm sure Jen will be kind enough to put a link to it. Yeah, so you can learn about my intuitive business coaching. I like to help women start a business or rekindle the passion for one they've already got. I also write content, and yeah, I do all kind of things.
You do all kinds of things. Sue also does goddess card readings, which I have found to be so incredibly powerful. That's like a weird one to try to explain, but she like channels goddesses. So it's kind of cool to be coached by Sue, because she incorporates her magical gifts into the coaching, and she'll be like, we're going to pull a card today and we're going to reflect on what it might mean. And of course the card is always perfect and applies to exactly where you're at in your life, which is really fun. So I love that you bring your magic in.
Yeah. So maybe I can explain it. So a client will ask a question, business, personal, whatever. I draw from a goddess oracle deck and I find the goddess, and then I just go into meditation, and it's like, it's a visualization. Like I can see her, we're interacting. And so I record this, and then I turn it into a document you're there with me. It's like, okay, I'm in a cave and there's a fire in the middle and there's a goddess who looks like this, and she comes over and this is the dialogue we have. And every time I do one, I just love the reaction of my clients, because they're like, oh my God, like that made so much sense. And they're so rich with metaphors. Like one the other day was like, you have to finish baking your cake before you can eat it. And it was like, she wasn't done with her personal development. She's like, I love that metaphor. I'm like, I'm going to make you a cake. So it's really beautiful to see how this higher self, this goddess energy comes through to answer questions for people who I don't even know. Like, I don't know your situation, but here's what I got. And they're like, wow, yeah, that's what I needed. So
Love
really
it.
fun. And I incorporate that with the coaching. Yeah. Thanks for reminding me. I always forget to mention that.
I know. I think it's one of the coolest things that you do. You do a lot. So Sue, thank you for being on today. I will make sure and add our SueGuillory.com link below so that you guys can check Sue out, follow her on all the platforms, and go from there. Appreciate you being on today. Thank you so
much. Absolutely. And we do hard things, and it's awesome.
We do all the hard things. So can you. We'll see you next time.
Exactly. Bye.